What's going on, guys? Am I okay? We're going. It is Wednesday. I'm up $1,050 roughly on the day. Today was kind of like yesterday. I traded a bunch of different names. You can see if you watch my recaps every day, you probably notice in weeks past I've traded more like somewhere between kind of 2 to 4 names. Here, coming in yesterday and then today, you can see more like 7 or 8 names on here. I've been doing a lot more trading in terms of actual shares bought and sold, and looking for a bunch of opportunities and trying, and like I said earlier in the week, to start the week, taking bigger size as well in my trading, just putting more risk on the table. So on Monday, I had a pretty nasty loss, and then on Tuesday, I had another nasty loss. Now today I've got a pretty good green day here today, and this is kind of more what I wanted out of my goals to take more size and kind of do a little bit better. This is more what I was imagining, not like those days on Monday or Tuesday. So kind of like those days earlier this week, I'm going to in those recaps, I'm gonna go through this not as chronologically. I'll try to do chronologically. I'll try to go from start to finish in terms of what I traded first to last, but you can see there's a bunch of different names here, so I may skip over some things because I don't want people to be here all day. But let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I was looking at, well, of course, every day when I wake up, I look at AMC and what AMC is doing. That's really can remain unsaid. But other than that, I was looking at NEO today at the open. I was watching this, and this was gapping up in sympathy to news on XPEV. XPeng, and this one was gapping up. So I like NEO just a little bit better, typically higher volume, more eyes on it, and I'm just more familiar with how it trades. So this is the one that I was eyeing off the open. Let me enable the trades here so that you guys can see. And I had one very quick trade on this. You can see I actually got long on it pre-market, and I thought, this is a pretty obvious level. Typically you see like this in pre-market, you see this a lot. I actually liked how it kind of came down and then back up to this spot and leveled out here again. I mean, this is very very clear to see, and I actually got in a little bit early. I knew I was, so I would have taken, if I felt really confident about this trade, I would have gone for 1,000 shares. But I did 500, and that's because I knew I was getting in a little bit early on this break, and the break I'm talking about is the one above kind of this 45.15 spot. And as we were breaking above that, you can see I entered in 500 shares pre-market at 17, thinking if this spot breaks, it could move to 30 very quickly, 40 very quickly, and so that's what I thought might happen. Also, there was a day, only the real ones will know this, I think it might have been last week or it might have been earlier this week, there was a crazy 1 minute candle on NEO the minute before the open where it surged up like 50-60 cents in one candle. So anyway, I had that kind of context in the back of my mind, thinking, oh, if something like that happens again, I would like to be in it. That'd be pretty nice. So anyway, I was looking for the break of that spot, but then as we came into the open, we got this big dip. At this point, I'm down over $100 on the trade before the open, and then at the open, I'm thinking there are some support levels here. There's, this is gonna chop around. NEO, it does this all the time. It chops around off the open. And it was choppy, it surged up, and here when I got the opportunity to kind of get out for a little bit of a gain, I just got out with the 35 bucks that was in front of me because I didn't quite get what I wanted on it, and what I wanted on it was it to break right here and then, and here it has a few minutes of consolidation. It could have gone right here, but instead this candle broke down. I didn't really like that. Anyway, I just knew that NEO had the potential to chop around. You know what I also didn't quite like was the daily chart. And this is why I titled this video, How to Respect the Technicals. Guys, it put in a big red bar yesterday, and then now it's gapping up. And I always do this in pre-market. Whatever the stock is you're looking at, it can always help to look at the daily chart and then say, okay, in pre-market it's trading around 45.20. That means it's going to open up like right around in here. That's a pretty big gap up from the close yesterday. I don't typically like the gap up after a big red day. I don't like when it gaps up inside that range. I usually tend to favor a pullback and actually another red day, just for whatever reason. It's something I observe. So I didn't quite love it, the daily chart on it. So it did put in a green day, which is good. Anyway, so I just got out of this trade very quickly. I want to move on because there's a lot of trades to talk about. So that was NEO. That was very quick. My next entry was on space, and after I took this trade and I got out of it, it's like, okay, it's 2 days into the open, or 2 minutes into the open. Not 2 days, 2 minutes into the open. I was like, all right, let's see what else. And instantly I flipped over to space, because this was one that, if you saw my recap yesterday, I had a really nice trade on it. Yesterday I went long right here and made like 600 bucks on it yesterday, which was great. And then for the whole rest of the day, I was holding 400 shares all through here, waiting for this 39.45 to break, and it never did. And it just stalled out in after hours. I cut the position, and then coming in this morning, I did take a look at it this morning, and I was waiting for this 39.45 spot to break, and I thought, it hasn't broken yet. It still hasn't broken, so this is going to definitely be a key level on watch today. And it's kind of finally on the daily chart breaking out of this level here. Actually, I should draw it more like what am I doing here? What am I doing? More like this. So yeah, some bullish consolidation here for sure on the daily chart. And then yesterday we finally broke out of that spot. And so typically when you get a big break like that, this could be a move that goes for 2 or 3 days. So definitely looking for continuation on it here today. And so that wasn't on my mind. So when I got out of that NEO trade, I flipped over to this one, and I saw it when I clicked on it, it was already surging up. This candle was already flying, and I was like, dang it, I missed it. But I had my hand on my hotkeys, and I just instinctually, I just was like, okay, my size here would be 500 shares, so I had that selected. And I just saw a fluctuation. It dropped down very quickly, and I just instinctually hit the bid. I got filled on the bid at 39.64, and then it popped right back up, and then kept ripping, and it went to $40 in the same candle. And then the next candle was equally as big, bringing us another 70 cents higher. So that is, just massive candles working out in my favor. And it really makes sense, okay, guys? When you have a level here that is, this is clear. This is clear as day how this is acting as, just consolidation all through here. The trading is just very it's just, you can imagine this is it's just coiling up. It's just coiling up, and then when it explodes, it's like this, what's a good analogy for it? It's like this just burst of energy. It's like it's like if you have water building up behind something that's not very strong, and the pressure keeps building and building and building, and when it bursts, it's like the energy is explosive. So that's kind of how you can imagine it. When you've got a wall, a big wall, right, a big strong wall, and then all these people banging on it, then you all more and more and more pressure, and then when they finally burst through, you get this flood, right? Anyway, I tried. I don't know, that was kind of, I don't know. Anyway, so got the move here, and it went straight to 41.50, and you can see all my exits here. Unfortunately, unlike yesterday, it didn't really continue to trend higher. It kind of came back down. It came all the way back down almost to 39.50. I ended up cutting my entire position before I let that happen. I drew this kind of triangular pattern here. Actually, the way I had it drawn, I think the way I had it drawn was actually like this at first. And I saw this, and I saw this. So there's a couple of different ways you can look at it. I hope that these lines aren't too confusing. But you had this uptrend line, and it was good until here. This downtrend comes into play. It rejects, and then it breaks, and it just kept breaking. So there's a couple different ways to look at this. And I did look at it both ways, but even when the second, here I got out, oops, my final get out here, my last 150 shares, this was getting out on the break of VWAP and anticipating that it would break this downtrend line, which it eventually did, and then it moved a lot lower, almost to 39.50, and that was that. I'm gonna get rid of these because I feel like they're just making it harder to see the the chart. But anyway, it moved down a lot and then it came back up a lot. So anyway, so space will be one that I continue to monitor, and I am also cognizant of the fact that, hey, space is one that I've been trading pretty well lately. No matter what my P&L is on the day, space is one that I usually can do well on. And I did take a quick peek at, actually I've got it up right here, the stocks that I have done the best on and the worst on. And you can see coming into today, space is actually a stock I've done, the fourth best on, and now I'm adding another 500 in profit to that number. So anyway, the point is I do quite well on space. So it was the one I did the best on yesterday as well. So anyway, being mindful of that, it's like, hey, you do want to keep trading the ones that you're good at trading. All right, so let's continue here. I'm trying to think of what I traded next. I think AMC, I did have trades on this in the morning. My P&L on it's only $50, but I did have trades on it. And my first trade I lost about $40. Then I thought, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna get long. It's consolidating. I like it on the daily chart, and I don't want to miss a move on it. This is a lot of choppy action. You can see it just traded sideways for a very long time. I averaged down 100 shares. It popped right up. I was up like $150 here. Then it comes all the way back down, up, down, up, down, up, down, sideways consolidation. And then, as it came down here, right here, I thought, I've got 200 shares on. I should probably only have 100. And as that thought crossed my mind, I set an entry or an exit to sell at 59.39 in front of this 40 spot, because it seems like every time it comes up here, it kind of rejects off these levels. So I thought, you know what, I'll just get out my 100 shares when next time it comes up. So I did, and then, of course, the time it comes up when I get out, it just keeps ripping. So I was like, all right, whatever. It came up to 60.22. I really wanted to hold on to this because I thought that the target would be 61, and I didn't really think it was that far away because it's only $1 away, and AMC can move a lot. But you see the range today on it wasn't that impressive. And then here I bought a dip on it back up to 200 shares, taking some profit here. But then as it rolled over and it came down here, I got out on this bounce, all my shares, last 175. So I did not do so hot on that. And then I had some other scalp trades in here. And anyway, so yeah, finished $50 in the green on that. Not too big a deal. Plug was a stock that I traded yesterday and traded today as well. This one I decided to go long. Here I really thought that it was going to continue, and I was looking, you got to be one eye on the NASDAQ. You got to be thinking about what the market is doing. And but yeah, I mean, you can see the triangular kind of pennant shape forming once again. It's pretty clear, pretty obvious, and I knew that I was getting it. I knew this would be kind of the target here, this 200 moving average. But I really thought it was going to break through here and target more like this 33.60 spot. And so that's what I was hoping it would get to. But unfortunately, it proved a little bit more of a difficult trade than I wanted. And guys, look at some of the, this is respecting the technicals, guys. You got to respect the technicals because, man, they will trick you. They will really, really trick you. And this is a spot. I can confidently say, this is a trade I would have missed out on 4 months ago, 5 months ago, 7 months ago, when I was kind of more a younger trader, not as experienced in day trading and charts and stuff like that. This is a trade I would have missed out on for sure a year ago. And so the reason for that is that as it came up and rejected here, at this point it's clear, the pennant is clear. And so the target, as it fails here and comes down, instantly the target was clear to me that this upward sloping support line is going to be the target as it comes down here. And sure enough, it did reach that spot. And initially, it looks like it looks like it's going to break it. It's coming down really hard, and then it's not bouncing hard at all. It's kind of moving sideways here and looking weak. Here it looks like it's going to break for sure. I'm very close to stopping out. And the reason that this is a trade I would have missed is that, you know, last year when I first started day trading, you know, I would have seen like, you know, I would have wanted to save myself from, you know, having to get out down here, just, you know, be a cheapskate and want to, you know, get out in front of 3250 and be just, it's going to break, I'm just going to get out now. You can't do that because you'll miss out. Look at this. It doesn't break. It holds. This candle, super weak, but then boom, strength comes in. It comes all the way back down, tries to break again, and then it gets eaten back up. And then we are actually testing upside. The target becomes now the resistance, the downward sloping resistance, and then of course that breaks and we're off to the races, and it's actually a bullish setup and we get explosive moves upside. So you'd be missing out on that if this entire upside move you're missing out on if you're stopping out at this low. And I did not stop out. I added shares. Once I saw the strength come in and we're bouncing, I added shares. 32.58, I doubled my position. And I'm telling you guys, I would have done the exact opposite of that if I know myself from my past self and how I would have traded this. And I can guarantee you I would have stopped out being like, oh, it's going to break, it's going to go. But you got to give them a little bit of room, right? Here it kind of looks like it's breaking the upward trend, but no. In fact, the candle, it's all about where the candles close, right? The action can be deceiving while the candle is still deciding what it wants to do. But that's how it tricks you, and that's just how difficult some trading is sometimes. So anyway, the rest of this trade was taking profit as it came up. Here there was a bit of a scare here. Three big red candles there. Not too sure what was going on. The Nasdaq was dropping at that point, but that was a pretty steep drop. Then in here as it came down, I was kind of like, oh, this trade looks like it's petering out, but you know, not really. Here's the downtrend resistance. And this is, again, guys, a bullish setup. Boom. And I will say, too, this was a bit news-driven, this move. There was some news that came out on Plug right there that Morgan Stanley was, you know, not changing their guidance on it or whatever. So, but, you know, the volume came in, nice, we're moving up, and then I was patient on it. I took some out here. Here I added 300 shares by accident. I hit buy market. I totally didn't mean to do that. I actually made a cent on 300 shares. You can see I bought 300, sold 400. That's because I got out flat my entire position. I was still holding 100 shares, accidentally bought 300, was now holding 400 and got out all those shares. I can't say that I didn't see this coming. This is sideways consolidation all in here. And then what does consolidation mean? I mean, this is just classic. This is so classic. And this is where, you know, I did make a bit of a mistake. I did see the consolidation. I did notice it. But I thought, you know what? I like the profits that's in front of me. I'm just going to get out and not have any risk on this anymore. But, I mean, big move up here for Plug. And I definitely missed out on this whole move up. And as I kind of came back to it and saw that it made this big move, because I did look at some other stocks in the meantime, I actually jumped in short. I thought, well, now at this point it's getting a little bit extended, and yeah, so I took a short position, initially very small, 300 shares. As it came up a little bit higher, it got even more top heavy, and Plug is one that can have pretty steep pullbacks, and I know that. I shorted 1,000 shares at 34.17. I'm now short 1,300 shares. That's a lot of shares for me, at least, to have short on a stock like Plug, which moves very, very quickly. But man, this was a trade that it basically doubled my profit on it on the day, because short 1,300 shares. I wish I had not taken profit so quickly on it, but can you blame me when I'm holding 1,300 shares short, or not holding shares short 1,300 shares. So you can see I covered 300, 400, 300, 300. So I was just covering like crazy down here on this drop, and yeah, so that was that. I did have a quick attempt long on this, but of course I got out. I just didn't like, how it needed to go. It needed to come up, but it wasn't doing that. So I just was like, all right, I'm going to protect my profit on the day. This was like a few minutes before the bell. So I was like, it's just not worth it. So I got out, but I did have the right idea. My target on it was 33.87 was where I was going to get out. And I had my order to sell there, but I changed my mind. I decided to just get out. But it did come up to 90, right where I wanted it, and so I missed out on some money there, but what you going to do? Okay, let's see. What else should I talk about? I had a couple quick trades. Well, NVIDIA I do want to talk about, actually. This one's such a bummer, man. I really had the right idea on it. So check this out. I shorted it here a few minutes off the open. I shorted 100 shares, which this is a big mover. You can see it moves $1 like every minute, so it's definitely a big mover. I shorted 100 shares. It went against me, but then it came in my favor, and this is all I wanted on it. I saw this big wick here. When you see that, that was a hint to me. Even when you see this, I'm not articulating this well, geez, but this is a strong reversal sign, and I knew that I was shorting it already. It's kind of come down, but I really did think it meant a bigger kind of reversal, and I did expect it to test this green line, and it did. It did test the green line, and I got out some shares here, and then I thought, well, it's still coming down. Like, these candles still look like they're weak. I'm gonna see if it doesn't move a little bit lower, and maybe I get some out in at 755. The other half of my position. But then it bounces, it bounces, it bounces, it bounces, it bounces, back up to the highs, and I got left in the dust. And I didn't cover it. I waited and waited and waited until I was red on the position. Down here, I was up like 300 on the trade. You can see I was up $3 in the money here. I got out half the position, and then the other half of the position, I lost. I don't. Yeah, this is a huge bummer. Should not let that happen. Respect the technicals. When this green line comes into play, it bounced, and anyway. Huge bummer. If I'd gotten out my other 50 here, again, it would have been more like $300 in the green, and that would have been really nice to have on the day. That would have been great. But so that was a huge bummer. VIACOM, I had a trade on. This one, I just had one trade on. I just bought a dip on it and played it back up. Really not too much to talk about here. This one I got in 42.03, so you can see I bought kind of right here, and then it had this even bigger dip. It broke lower very quickly. I hit my hotkey to join the bid for another 500 shares to put me at 1,000 shares. That would be pretty darn big size. Well, the bid, when I hit the bid, the bid was 41.82, which is the exact low of this candle. So I didn't get filled. And it popped right back up. I didn't get filled. But if I had gotten filled at the exact low of 500 shares, oh, man, that would have been really nice. This trade would have gone pretty well for me. It's always interesting to see these after hours moves on stocks like this. Is interesting. But anyway, so still a nice trade there. And then on Snapchat, I had a trade. This is actually my most read trade, and I can't believe it. This is a trade that I took kind of here before the close as well. And my only thinking on it was that, well, it was pulling back. It was moving lower. And this is something I talked about yesterday. When the lower lows are becoming less and less lower lows, you do kind of have to think about, is this going to start reversing now into an uptrend? And so I was aware of that, and I was seeing that this was a very kind of grindy, it was grinding lower, right? It's not coming down that quickly. So whenever I see that, I always do tend to favor the long, actually. But the only reason that I went short was that I thought, here's clear support right here. And so all I was doing was shorting below 66.15. So I shorted at 66.13. below that spot. Very simple trading. Again, just shorting below the 66.15. And what I was really looking for was a break. And when I say break, like I wanted like a 10, 20, 30-cent break to the downside very quickly. And so when that didn't happen, I should have taken more profit while I was in the money, because it came down to 66.04 here before reversing back up, and I had to stop out of the trade, which was a huge bummer for like $120 loss. So that was a bummer, but at least I did stop out. It did continue higher. So anyway, this was a bummer of a trade, but I think, yeah, it was a mistake. I think if anything, I probably should have gone long, not short, but I don't know. I mean, I do think there was some support here, 66.15, and then it just cracked that. So I think usually that's a short entry, but it did have a positive news catalyst. It's coming up. It's strong. So certainly that is in mind. All right. So ALF was the only other stock that I haven't talked about yet, and this was one that had a you know, it was on watch. It had this crazy move yesterday, and you know, today was definitely the backside of that move. You know, had a brief pop off the open, but you can see it gave back quite a bit today. It had a pretty interesting surge here from 1180 to 1370. Anyway, this was a long that I took right before the close, and typically I wouldn't trade something like this, and I wouldn't go for something like this. This is a small cap stock, but you talk about support. I was just buying it into support, anticipating the bounce, and you know, the bounce we got. I took 1,000 shares of it, and you know, it went from here at 11.99 to, you know, up, hit a high right here, 12.22. So there was certainly an opportunity there. I just was bad on taking profit. I thought, well, I mean, earlier it went from 11.80 to 13.80, went up like $2. You know, it has a lot of potential. It's kind of double bottoming here. You know, maybe a squeeze to 12.50. Like, I don't know. So I was a little hesitant to take profit on it because I thought I might have a real winner on the line, but you know, that wasn't the case. But then I held it into after hours. It dipped down, then popped back up. I could have gotten more out up here, but at this point in the day, I was looking to just get rid of all my positions, and as it was coming up, I was like, all right, this is great. I'm going to take it out. And down here, I was actually red on the trade as it came down here, but as it popped back up, I was coming back to green on the trade, so I was like, all right, I'm just going to unwind this and be done for the day. And done for the day, I am up 1,049 on the day. So what's up, Isakov? Gary, thank you. Yeah, so that's the recap for today. Bit of a longer one, but you know, apologies for that. I did trade quite a bit today, so I try to go over the important stuff, but usually I just rant on and on. Anyway, guys, if you did learn something from this video, as always, please hit the like button on it. That lets me know that, like, hey, I found this helpful. I learned something. That's good. We all try to learn from each other here, and speaking of learning from each other, join the Discord server. The link is in the description. We, you know, I'd love it if you join that. I always am curious to hear how other people are trading. Are you green? Were you red today? What happened today? Let me know. And other than that, please subscribe. I do these recaps every single day at 5:40 p.m. Eastern Time, so that means I will be here tomorrow. No matter what my PNL is, I will share it with you guys here tomorrow. And last but not least, I will also, speaking of tomorrow, be in the Discord at 9:30 for market open tomorrow morning. Yeah, hope to see you guys there. All right, other than that, that is it. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.